Hello nerds, it's Ryan here. Just before we get on to today's show, I'm going to tell you about an experience I had just at the end of April, and I do apologise about my voice, I've got a cold. At the end of April, I joined Leica Sport Optics on a urban nature walk guided by the lovely taxidermist and naturalist LK. We met in central London, we took some Leica kit, and along with myself, Elle, the Leica team, we headed out with a bunch of enthusiasts about nature, some just getting into it, some had been into nature for a while, and we walked to different green spaces in central London, ending at St James's Park. And it was a lovely experience to see people get excited about nature, to see people kind of use binoculars for the first time and really connect with the jays, the blackbirds, the corvids that were flying. It was just absolutely lovely day. This chat you're about to hear is a little chat that I got to have with Elle after the walk as we reflect on what it was like kind of seeing people connect with nature and seeing people maybe do that for the very first time as well. But before I introduce this chat, it's very important for me to say that Leica Sport Optics have got another urban bird walk in London coming up on the 6th of July. The link for that, if you want to join, is in the write-up of this episode. Here's the little chat, and then we're on with the show. Did you have a good walk?
I loved every moment of it. I think what I'm doing is I'm reflecting, because when you've been with people for quite a few hours and you've been outside and then you stop, you have that moment of kind of reflecting. And yeah, it was really wholesome. It was super lovely to see how engaged everybody was and to answer so many questions and to hear so many people comment on things that they've seen and just the way that people were interpreting the landscape. So yeah, I mean, it was a 10 out of 10. It really ticked all the boxes for me.
And it's an interesting one because you say like how people see the landscape. It was a heavily urban area, like in the city, central London. And we're going to these lovely squares or parks and stuff. But I think the first thing is I was surprised of how much we saw because you only really realise when you start writing it down. So quickly tell us about what we saw on that walk.
Well, it was everything from the waterbirds when we were down in St James, all the way to tits in the trees when we were walking through Grosvenor Park, and the parakeets. I mean, the thing about London is we have such a diverse ecosystem, and the birds have managed to cohabit with us and our urban landscapes so successfully. And there's so many green spaces. You know, we did focus on green spaces, but even in the interim parts when we're on the pavement, there's still so much to see. And I love that people were kind of pointing up, oh, is that a gull? What kind of gull is that? And people are really looking up. And so we saw quite a lot. There was quite a range. It was a little bit of a chilly day and a bit grey, so probably not as much as we might see if it was a sunny summer day. But yeah, I mean, a great selection. We ticked off a lot of things on our little bird list. And it had been a while for me since you and I probably hang around with people that are already fully immersed in nature and engaged with it. So I think our baseline for what people are motivated by might be slightly different. But today was probably the first time for a long time I've walked with people that are, you know, that have never picked up a pair of binoculars before, have never kind of looked at a jay, have never even seen a jay or would recognise one. What was it like for you as guiding a walk like that with people that are kind of seeing this stuff or appreciating it for the first time? Oh, it's pure magic. I love to see the seed be sown and then have that spark lit. And there's an enchantment. You know, as we're walking through, people are starting to become more engaged, or they heard something that I said and they sort of chased me up on that. Oh, did you say that a jay has a blue feather? Well, you know, where's the blue feather? I didn't see a blue feather. And then we start talking about blue and it being a structural color and other birds that might have it. And then we start talking about kingfishers. And then someone tells an anecdote about how to spot a female kingfisher from a male kingfisher. And so it kind of leads into this whole series of conversations that people might not have ever allowed themselves to indulge in before. And here is a safe space, the perfect opportunity to ask those questions that they might have had lingering in the back of their mind, or they might have seen a bird on the walk, or even sometime way before this conversation. And it's just giving them that space and that humility to answer those questions and to allow them to indulge in that interest that some people do bury, some people do keep it quite quiet. And so for me, yeah, to answer your question, I think it was really lovely and wholesome and very rewarding for me, because this is exactly why I do these things, is to find my tribe, is to connect with people over this shared interest. And that has been something that for me, I've found coming to quite later in life. God, I just love connecting with people over it. It feels really, it's a full circle moment for me.
And a lot of like what I'm seeing online as well is a lot of people talk about like environmental activism or like kind of creating change. And it's easier to do that when you are kind of working with your local community or working with people around you, because you have more, maybe, I don't know why that is, maybe you have more passion. It's easier to reach these people because you're connected to your environment, where they've come from, you have that better relationship. So with that in mind, with Leica putting on this kind of event and events in the future, how important do you think it is for corporations as big as Leica to be doing stuff like this on a local level in places like London?
It's imperative. It really tells the consumer that there is a place for these sort of feelings, and it tells them that it's valid to have an interest in the natural world. But it also speaks to a much larger conversation about protecting our climate. And so these huge corporations, these huge businesses have a responsibility and need to take some accountability for making change on a corporate level. They have the power to do so. And so by having events like this, it's speaking to that conversation of how are we going to connect people to the natural world so that they care and so that that can lead to outreach and tangible change.
Yeah. And how do you feel about me seeing more J's than you today?
Fuming. I think you have a better vantage point because you're a fair bit taller than me. So I'm going to put it purely down to...
It's easy to see them when they're flying past your face. Yeah.
No, I mean, it was a really wonderful morning. And I think being able to see a jay was extra special because they are almost borderline exotic in terms of their appearance.
Yeah, totally.
Even though they're in the corvid family, they stand out like a sore thumb, but for the best reasons. And yeah, I'm glad that people had the opportunity. There was one gentleman who came today who'd only ever seen a jay. One.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And I love that we gave him the opportunity.
Like
literally 3.
Yeah.
That's a lot of jays.
Yeah.
But you know, it was great. And I think it was a very rewarding experience, not just for me, but for the people that came, hopefully. It seemed like it.
Good evening, Nadia Sheikh.
Good evening, Mr. Dalton.
Oh, that was very formal.
That's what I do now.
Oh, okay. It's making me...
Well, you formaled at me, so I just formaled back.
I did start the formality.
A beautiful evening it is as well. You know where I live?
Yes, I do.
It's so far north that it doesn't get dark till about 11:30 till midnight.
Really?
It's so annoying. I don't have curtains at the moment.
Why don't you have curtains?
Oh, because I didn't like them, so I took them down thinking I'll put some new ones up.
Half a job, Sheikh.
I haven't done that. And so now I have to have an eye mask on. So I'm actually quite looking forward to the solstice next weekend. So that the days start getting shorter. How about you?
I'm very well, thank you. I've had a lovely week last week in Crete.
Oh, I didn't know you'd gone to Crete. It's as though you've never mentioned it. That's weird.
Crete for me is...
Why Crete, Ryan?
Do you know, actually, I'll tell you the story. Strap yourselves in. It's because I Googled most authentic places to go in Greece. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this place right. So I'm sorry to any Cretians or anyone else in Greece that's going to have a go at me for this. But Rethnom, I think, a town in Crete. Anyway, that came up as one of in the top 5 like authentic places to go in Greece.
What do you mean by authentic?
I want small local restaurants. I want an old town. I want stone buildings. I want lovely little like kind of streets where cars can't get down. I want beautiful smallhold farms. I want olive trees. I want all that, right? I want like history. I want, yeah.
Okay, so if someone from Crete was to Google authentic place in England,
yes,
where would you expect them to visit?
Basildon. No, I'm just... Sorry if anyone's from Basildon, but it's not authentic. No, I don't know. But I don't know.
I'm just trying to like flip it so I
in
can,
England, I would say authentic
quintessential.
places. I mean, there's going to be places authentic. Like everywhere's different. It's quite. I don't know. But Crete was lovely. Oh God!
Is it somewhere that might have like the name something under bottom? You know, like in southern England, they've got all these little.
No, because I think there's authentic London places. There's authentic places like on the coast. There's authentic places in like Devon, I assume.
Well, it sounds like you were moved by Crete.
I was,
Ryan,
actually.
And when can we expect for you to move there?
Oh, don't, because I've already looked at house prices.
Have you? Go on, what?
Oh, you can.
Are they doer-uppers?
They're doer-uppers, but they're only about 100 grand. So
I can plaster.
You're welcome to come.
There you go.
Well, welcome to the show. This one's exciting. We're doing a Nature Room 101, which it's been a while since we've done this, isn't it?
The vault is getting empty,
Yeah, we need to
actually.
fill it out.
We've moved, what happens when you leave the vault door closed for a while? Things start to biodegrade.
They start to perish. Yeah.
It's perishing. It's dusty in there. We, from the Room 101 Wildlife Agency, of which we are both members, we do have to keep on track of shit stuff.
We've got our audit coming up.
We do have our audit coming up. We have superiors that are going to come and check that we are sufficiently ridding the world of shitty wildlife.
Yeah. And that superior is called Oscar Henderson.
Yeah.
He comes in with
I would like to do a whole episode of Oscar.
Hat.
We should do a section called Oscar Audits. And I don't want to give any spoilers, but about what we're going to talk about today until you hear our guests talk about it. But I think Oscar and the audience will agree that we are looking to put satisfactory things in the vault today.
Can I also say, I know it did just say there about making Oscar the audit guy, but I actually am uncomfortable. I don't want Oscar to have any power ever.
Last time he had power,
he went to town. I don't trust that man. He's a dictator.
When you give someone an inch.
He took several hundred miles.
Enough miles to get to Crete and back 4 times. Oh,
God, lucky man.
Can I tell you a wildlife highlight of my week?
Yeah, of course you can. I'm always here for wildlife highlights.
I went out for a bicycling ride.
Bicycling?
And I've got video footage of this, so we can put it up on our Instagram account so you can take a look. But I went out for a bike ride last night, and there's a famous oyster catcher on the island, and she's called Vivian Restwood.
Yes, Vivian.
And she nests in an old rotten post that used to be part of a pier. And this old post is sticking out the sea, and it's all rotten. And because it's rotten, it's created like a crevice in the top. She nests in that. So I went to see her. She's in there. It was great. Carried on cycling. An even worse oyster catcher nest was found right next to the path. Like literally, if you were walking on a path, bent down to tie your shoelace, you would graze the oyster catcher's feet. That is how close it is to the path.
Absolutely no fucks given by that oyster catcher.
Absolutely none whatsoever. It's either no fucks given or they just get so full of eggs that they're like, fuck, we're just going to have to sit somewhere.
Yeah. Wherever we park, like. Just here.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like nice, remember when you were little and you played musical chairs? Yeah. That panic.
Yeah, that panic. Just here will do.
Yeah. So that's that.
That's
so
nice.
I'll update you on progress.
Yeah, please do. I wonder what I had a nature highlight. Oh, do you know what? I think it's when I was in Crete.
My nature highlight is that Crete exists. And I was there.
The discovery of Crete in my life.
Such a Brit abroad.
No.
Such a Brit abroad.
It was, don't take away from my experience. It was it was the swifts. There was so many swifts to the point where you're like, they would like darting down like the streets or like round by the bay, and it was just screaming. I was like, I've never seen them in those numbers before. It was a lovely experience to see them in that quantity. That was my nature highlight.
That's so beautiful. Would you say that there are more swifts? They are more abundant in Crete?
Oh, 100%. Well, definitely more than I see in London or have seen in England.
That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. There was one moment where I looked up, and I'm not exaggerating when I say there must have been about 300-400 above me just flying around. And that's just one spot. So it was beautiful. Should we move on to some nature news?
Yeah, let's have it.
Okay. Nerds, strap yourselves in. It's time for Nature News. Okay, so let me start with this one. An environmental charity called Climate Force has collaborated with the Eastern Kuku-Yalanji people and some rangers to create a wildlife corridor that runs between 2 World Heritage Sites in Australia, the Daintree Rainforest and the Great Barrier Reef. The habitats in this region have become all separated and fucked up due to industrial agriculture. So the plan is to kind of create a forested corridor that will aim to protect biodiversity by allowing animals to move between habitats to feed and to boink with each other, basically. The aim is to plant 360,000 trees over an area of 213 hectares. And so far, they've planted around 25,000 trees of 180 species on the land and in a nursery as well. The people involved are very hopeful, but the challenges are still very much there in regards to soil regeneration and ensuring that the planted trees aren't killed off by flooding and feral pigs. But I thought that was a lovely story to start with about kind of charity actually partnering with the local community as well to kind of create these corridors.
I really, really enjoy. I really find anything satisfying that's on that big kind of scale. Yeah. That sounds exciting.
Really nice,
and also, I've never heard you use the word boink.
Boink. No, I think that might be the first time I've ever used it.
Why are you being such a prude? Are you a prude now you've come back from Crete?
In Crete, I found myself just being a bit more careful with my words.
Okay, nice.
So my second bit of nature news, Nadia, is I don't know if you remember, but I think a couple of episodes ago, you told us some nature news about a river clear up in France. So the clear up of the River Seine.
Yeah, that was quite a while ago now.
A couple of months ago. And the whole plan was the French government was investing quite a high level of money to clear up the River Seine in time for the Olympic Games this July. But, as a result is, we're doing it for that, but we're also going to be tidying up our river. It's been illegal to swim in the river since the 1920s, I believe, and the whole thing was to try and make it healthy and pollution-free again. Well, Nadia, would you like an update on that story?
I actually really, really would like an update on that story.
Strap yourself in.
Oh, God, is this good news?
Okay. So, long story short, locals, Parisians, aren't too happy about it.
Oh, no.
After the French government have spent 1.4 billion euros, which is a lot of money, cleaning up the River Seine, many Parisians are fuming about this because despite the high-level spend on cleaning it, high levels of E. coli are still present. So the president, Macron, and the Paris mayor have said that to prove that it is going to be safe to swim in, they will swim in the Seine to prove everything's fine, right? So that's what they're going to do. But we know the French are very hard-hitting protesters, right? I think they're quite famous for them. And they're going to protest.
They're quite skillful with the tractor.
Right? So I think what's happened here is the Parisians are angry at the high-level expenditure that's gone into this, the fact it's not worked. There's also a lot of unhappiness in and around kind of Paris with money not being spent on the right things and stuff like that. So, there's a lot of uncomfortable feelings. So what the Parisians have gone and done is created a hashtag that's gone viral. And this hashtag is called, okay, this is in French to start with. Nadia, I butcher the French language.
Oh, darling, give it your all. Come on.
Okay, so they made a hashtag called Je suis dans les Seine le 23rd June. Comments? No, which translates into, this is what it translates into, I poop in the Seine on the 23rd of June. So what they're doing is
really snappy hashtag.
Just before the date that the president and the mayor agreed to swim, and only a month before the Olympics are due to start, Parisians are gathering to shit in the river.
I love the French for this.
So
this is protest.
It's a whole thing. 23rd of June, this Sunday. Sorry, as this is being released, so yesterday, potentially a lot of French people, a lot of Parisians are going to be shitting in the Seine to say, you wasted a lot of money, you didn't do it properly, we're going to shit in the river and you've still got to swim in it.
I can't really condone that much shit going directly into the river. However, the energy behind it. So, I don't know French people, culture all that well, apart from that they are very good at protest and revolution. Are they prudy? Will they poo straight into it, or would they tip in a vessel?
As far as I could read, and I read multiple media outlets about this, and there wasn't obviously like hard-hitting information. This is all kind of, like anecdotal. But it's looking like the call to action is just to gather on the Seine and do a shit in there. Because
we're in London on Saturday. We could just get the Eurostar over.
If I'm going to Paris, it's not to see a bunch of Parisians shit in the Seine. I'm going to Disneyland, bruv.
We could get a pastry.
Yeah, we could get.
We could do other things.
So I thought I'd update you on. They spent a lot of money, didn't quite do it, and
well, when I did give that nature news, and I always do give a caveat, is that like I applaud human ingenuity. I applaud big thinking, big projects. I always carry a little bit of cynicism on my shoulder with me.
Because we know how things can or cannot work.
Oh no, what a shame.
I know. Well,
you could have updated me and said, 400 species of mollusk have returned.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Do you know what I mean? Like it could have been such good nature.
Well, it depends what the Parisians have for dinner the night before.
And you know what? There aren't many. I would say there are not many Parisian vegans, and we know the non-vegan poo is a more toxic entity.
Let's keep a close eye on what happens, and nerds, we will be tweeting about it this
Not
week.
that
Do
close.
not worry about it. Not that close. Okay.
Don't worry, those listening. You don't have to keep an eye on it. We will do that for you and report back.
Okay, nerds, it's now time for a bit of information from the RES, our collaborating partners of 2024. So here we go. It's time for
Royal Entomological Society segment of the month.
Okay, so here's from the RES. The Royal Entomological Society has an exciting opportunity for 2 trustees to join the RES team from September 2024. They're looking for candidates ready to actively contribute to the governance and strategic direction of the Society in 2 key leadership roles: Chair of Science, Policy and Society Committee and Chair of Outreach Committee. Nominations close on the 19th of July 2024. The RES recently launched an exciting new funding opportunity for small research projects open to the RES members around the world. Small project grants can be used for new and innovative insect research funded up to £3,000. The first round deadline is the 31st of July. And finally, Insect Week starts today, but I'm not going to tell you about it. Here is everyone's favourite entomologist, Ash Whiffin, to tell you more.
It is finally here. Yes, one of my favourite weeks of the entire year. It is, of course, Insect Week. Insect Week is a celebration of all things entomological, and it's an annual event organised by the Royal Entomological Society and supported by loads of different partner organisations throughout the UK and Europe. So from today, the 24th of June, through to the 30th, wherever you live, it's an opportunity to take part in insect science, get to know insects near you, learn from experts, but most importantly, to have some fun. So check out the Insect Week website. There are loads of different events advertised there, a nice mixture of in-person and online. And really what the mission is to try and spread the word, raise awareness of the incredible importance of insects. So please help us. Jump on social media, share your wonderful photos, spread the word. We need more people to know that insects are the little things that run the world.
And there we go. That's the end of our RES segment this week. A reminder that everything I've discussed there are links in the write-up of the show, including the small grant project and the 2 opportunities coming up with the RES. So check them out. Okay, Nadia, shall we jump into our episode?
Oh, I'd love to. 2 of my favourite humans in the world.
It's a Nature Run 101. It's going to be a good one. It's 2 great people. Nerds, let's go. Welcome to Nature Room 101, Nadia. It's been a while.
But yeah, about a month.
It's been longer than a month.
Since the last podcast?
No, since the Nature Room 101.
That's been a
while. That was the first one of the year. Are you ready to open the vault one more time?
Yeah, it's about time. I feel like spring's over, summer's here.
Correct, yep. And we got some
There's
shit to throw in.
Like midges.
Oh, she's straight in there.
Again. I know. It's been a bad year. It's a bad mid-year.
Bad mid-year.
I'm over it.
Is it? I would not know. Very much a problem up there.
What are you putting in? We don't get to put things in, so I feel like we should.
No, we don't. What am I going to put in this week? I don't really have anything bad. Nothing. So, I've just had a lovely time in Crete.
Oh my God. For God's sake. You're not in Crete anymore.
Well, I'm wearing the shirt. Let my holiday hang over, please.
Ryan goes on a foreign holiday once and then eats olives and feta cheese for 2 weeks afterwards and tells everybody that he's been in Crete at any opportunity.
I just feel like everyone should know.
It's pronounced spanakopita. Spanakopita.
I'm glad you talk because it's really hard before you've been introduced to not say anything.
I like it when the guests go rogue.
About his recent holiday.
Oh my God. I bet that wouldn't happen in Crete.
It wouldn't happen in Crete. It wouldn't happen in Crete.
No, he's got a hat. But also, what you maybe don't know is that's also a Crete.
It says Crete,
authentic Greek shirt.
Authentic Crete hat and an authentic Crete shirt.
Please tell me you wore that on the plane on the way back.
Yeah. No, it was very much timed. It was 3 a.m.
Great.
Right, anyway, considering the guests have come in, we might as well introduce our guests who are featuring on this Nature Room 101. Nadia, I'll introduce the first person. He's not only a man that entertains many on CBeebies, about the natural world, but he's a man that entertains myself, Nadia, and Isla in a WhatsApp group with his incredible voice note impressions of people, including Sir David Attenborough, that he is going to, before he says anything else, do an impression of that man right now in 3, 2, 1.
It is a pleasure to be welcomed on to Into the Wild, one of the most remarkable podcasts known to humankind, running for many years, and the irrepressible hosts, Ryan Dalton and Nadia Sheikh. The things I've learned from Into the Wild are truly unfathomable and have brought me to the state of knowledge that I possess now. Thank you.
It's incredible, because we've actually never seen you do it.
No, his face assumes the face.
Unfazed. He just went straight into it as well. There was no lead-in time. He was just like, right, okay, cool.
Rory, it's lovely to have you on the show. Are you looking forward to getting a bit of a rant on about some things naturey that you don't like?
Absolutely. There's loads of stuff I don't like, as you know.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. Look at Nadia's face. She's like, Rory's optimistic.
Loads of stuff. I thought you were going to be one of those contrary people that's like, oh, actually, I like all nature.
No.
But I suppose if I have to put something...
No, I've got stuff. I've got material.
I thought he was going to have a lot. I mean, he deadlifts. He's getting rid of anger there. He's like, things that just annoy me. Just like he's...
Deadlifts hates nature.
Yeah.
Crush wildlife under my weights. I don't do that, by the way. Disclaimer.
No, you don't. Well, Rory, it's lovely to have you on. I'm looking forward to hearing your answers and seeing if they top trump our next guest. Nadia, would you like to introduce?
Oh my God. And you are going to introduce yourself in the accent of...
Please
No,
don't.
I wouldn't do that.
Do that to
Do
me.
you
Does
do
a
any?
wonderful Michaela Strachan impression.
Do I do any? No, because unfortunately the Geordie cancels everything else out. So
And our second guest for Room Into the Wild, Room 101, is Isla Hodgson. God, I don't know how else to introduce you other
That's
than
fine.
shark expert, biologist, and
There we go.
general...
I know you've done the CV.
Shit.
just Isla's
Pardon?
fine. Isla's fine.
Isla's been on before.
No, there's more to you than Isla. How would you like to be introduced?
That's grand. Except I wouldn't say I'm a shark expert, but I'm a shark enthusiast, I suppose. That's where you could go with that.
When you're the expert of something in a room, you are the expert.
Yeah. To be honest, Isla, I think if I went out on the street and just picked a load of people and you were there as well and said someone talk about sharks, I think you're the person that would have the most knowledge.
Doesn't make me an expert though. I could be talking absolute bollocks, and you would know.
Isla has been on the show before. If you want to listen back on her episode, it could be all bollocks.
Yeah, I'm making it all up. No, I just get the fear because I'm a scientist, but I'm not a shark scientist, but I do work with
I
sharks.
said biologist.
Yeah.
Is biologist close enough to scientist? Are they the same thing?
Zoologist, yeah. Basically, I like sharks.
Why do you introduce her as a shark? This is Isla and she's a shark.
She's a shark. Oh, God, but how amazing would that be?
That'd be
For us. You would
phenomenal.
probably have a horrible
Imagine,
life.
yeah, if I was a basking shark just sitting there with my mouth wide open throughout the whole
You
thing.
were eating dinner when we started this recording.
I
so-
was. Plankton, actually, yeah. So, on brand.
Such a stretch. Such a
Well-
stretch. Thank you so much, Isla, for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks
So,
for having me.
as our nerds know on the show, Nature Room 101 is very simple. We have 3 themes for our 2 guests, Rory and Isla, to pick their least favourite thing within that category and theme. And they have 2 minutes to sell that to me and Nadia. And then Nadia and I discuss, debate, or argue, most likely argue, about which one will go through into Nature Room 101 The Vault forever and be locked away with all the other crap that we've got in there, which really is starting to get a bit shited in there, really.
Everything's eaten everything.
Yeah.
Some things have rotten
Smells
down.
horrible.
But also, I think we need to clarify the rules because I'm sick of going through the rules.
Yeah, you're a bit pedantic with this
mid-podcast.
stuff. Okay, so the rules are, like, if you pick something, there's no repercussion. So, for example, if we picked, let's say we got rid of ants, which we're not going to do, but let's say we got rid of ants, there's no negative repercussions on the environment. So if anyone tries to argue it back going, well, what will these animals eat if there's no ants? The animals will be fine. It's like they never existed, right? It's like Thanos just clicking. They're gone, right? That's it. They blipped
Wonderful.
out. So those are the rules. But if you pick something in the UK, because we've had invasive things be picked, you would also be getting rid of it in the place where it's native. There's lots to consider here.
It goes from the whole world.
Whole world. Right, so...
It's not in the dictionary. No one ever knew it existed.
No one gone. Okay, so let's start with our first theme. Oscar, if you could open up the vault now, or Nadia, if you could welcome us into the vault. I mean, we didn't hear that. But I assume something happened, otherwise you've reacted to nothing.
But the action was great.
Yeah, the action.
What? Why didn't you hear that?
We're all using mics that might block out. Do you know what? Maybe it was so high-pitched that only dogs heard that.
It was really good.
Okay. Anyway.
We'll use Oscars. Let's go. If we leave the door open too long, shit's going to climb out.
Okay, so here we go. So the first category is online nature gripes. Social media is a fab way to connect people with nature. All four of us know that. But what errors, habits, or methods of nature content online do you hate? Isla Hodgson, which social media or online nature gripe are you putting forward to go into the vault?
People touching sharks. Just stop it. Right, I'm not going to name names. There's a very,
Nope, name names. This is a podcast to burn a bridge.
Name them.
There's a very popular person that does it. I seem to get videos like this all the time, obviously, because my social media algorithm is very much geared towards sharks, and it's become more and more popular over the years. And somebody is, it's mostly people getting sharks to swim towards them. So it'll be like a big great white or a tiger shark by splashing their fins. And then they try and do something called redirecting, which is where they basically push the shark on the nose and turn it away. I understand what they're trying to do. I understand that they're trying to show that sharks aren't dangerous and they're not scary. But the amount of people that are doing it, there's two main reasons why I think they should go into Room 101, or three really. The first one is just don't touch wildlife. That's a good rule in general. The second one is, yes, you might be trained to do that, but there are going to be many, many other people who want to do this very same thing, who aren't trained in that, who will jump in the water and just touch a shark, and it might not end well for either them or the shark. And the third reason is actually a biological reason, which is that sharks and rays have a layer of mucus on top of their skin, which is to protect them from pathogens. And if you touch them, you could be removing that mucus and exposing them to pathogens. So it's not great for the shark in many cases. And just in general, just don't touch marine life, don't pick it up. Just watch it, just let it go on its way. There you go.
I think that's a good answer.
Don't touch sharks.
It's a really good answer.
I do think I know, because I understand, like you said, when people do this, they're like, no, we're trying to show that sharks aren't something to be feared. But at the same time, it's not like they're not dangerous. Like, do you know what I mean? You don't have to they're still a big animal with teeth. Like, you don't have to show me it's not dangerous. I would rather know that it is quite dangerous and leave it alone.
As somebody who works in shark conservation for a living, I feel the need to jump in here and say that shark bites are extremely, extremely rare.
Yeah, but we're not talking about shark bites. We're talking about, like, if you try and touch a shark, there's a chance you're going to get bitten. You don't have to show people they're not dangerous by touching them.
Yeah.
Because they're dangerous if you do.
There's loads of drone footage of sharks hanging around swimmers, or, just the amount of footage that we have of people diving with sharks and nothing happening should show you that. It's more because it looks cool and it gets lots of likes.
It's a social media thing, right? In the context, it's about you doing it so you can put it on social media because you touched a shark.
There's also people swimming alongside them and holding onto the dorsal fin as well. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Oh.
And people do it for clout, and
I think it's a bad move for social media to touch wildlife.
Yeah.
There is a small caveat, because I do touch some things, and it's not necessarily for social media, but personally, in my own personal time, I think touch is a way of exploring the world. Why are you laughing, Rory?
The whole subject I'm finding amusing, Isla introducing it as people touching sharks. I mean, I thought when you said there's biological reasons not to do it, I thought you were going to say because the shark could fall in love with you, and then you have to leave the water, and the shark is swimming around brokenhearted forevermore and unable to find a mate.
Also, the shark's not given consent for that.
Exactly.
So. There's also that.
There are also legal reasons. You don't want to find yourself in court with a shark stood there with like pointing on a teddy shark.
No, not least because
Yeah.
a shark can't breathe in the air, so that would be really problematic for the shark.
Problem number one.
I think that it's a really strong argument. I think largely you are right. But I do still, like, we need to hear out Rory's. My only caveat is that there are some circumstances where one might privately, gently, in a small corner of the world, touch something to experience it.
I will challenge that because that's not what Isla's putting in though.
No, that's not what Isla's putting in. But just part of Isla's argument was you don't need to touch wildlife at all.
I'm very.
And I think you just not for social media.
Yeah.
And not sharks.
And not sharks. But this is what I mean. They don't predate people, but they're still got the ability to be dangerous.
But I mean, even whale sharks, right? Whale sharks,
Yeah.
which who are completely harmless,
big animals.
that can actually damage them. So like I said about the mucus thing, it can actually hurt them. But people do it because they're really, they're relatively harmless. And you can swim alongside them and they think they can get away with it. I mean, I can't deny there have been times when a basking shark's gone very close to me and I've had to resist the temptation not to go, boop. It's human nature, but you just don't.
But also there's a power and strength to you in that not doing it, because like respecting it and having reverence to it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a really strong contender, and I would be very surprised if Rory beat it.
Oh, go on then, Rory. What's your contender?
And before we get on to mine, I think we should just call him out. Barry Shark Toucher, if you're listening to this, stop doing it.
With your
Barry
11
Shark
Instagram
Toucher.
followers.
Yeah, knock it off.
You know who you are.
No.
What would the handle be other than Barry Shark?
No, that's it.
It's definitely a name. If I ever get a cat, I'm calling it Barry Shark Toucher. Right.
Touch my mucus.
What am I putting in the social media thing that bothers me? Yeah, I just really hate when people don't use the full Latin name when referring to a species. And in fact, actually, people don't just speak Latin when discussing scientific matters. Full
anything.
stop.
Anything.
Anything. That's what I'm putting in. Thank you.
I miss Latin.
When commoners talk about
If I have to
wildlife.
explain it, then, why am I even here? No, actually, right. What I really don't like is wild animals as pets content. So it won't apply to everyone who's posting about like a rehabbed wild animal before people come for me in the comments. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff based around animals being saved, and then they've just gotten attached to me because actually what the person's not done is follow good practice and has wanted the animal to get attached ultimately because of how they feel about their wish to help or their attachment to the animal. Possibly some of the same motivating factors that make people want to touch a shark. And I think it's hard, right? Because the urge to help, which a lot of people have, and I'm sure a lot of people listen to this podcast, have that urge to help wildlife and want to do the right thing. But I think invariably sometimes well-meaning people posting about saving things can also encourage others to do a bit of saving of their own. And I do wonder how many dead animals we don't hear about, or how many people we don't hear about that get attacked by an animal or harmed by an animal. I was pushed a post recently on Instagram of a woman who had a bloody serval in our house, like a serval, and it was like whacking her on the head.
No.
The post I got sent to me was like all the bits of it, like hitting her on the head and being like, I thought, this is horrifying. Imagine waking up in the morning and there's a serval walking around your house.
If anyone doesn't know, that is a large cat.
Yeah,
It's a very large cat.
a big cat with a big mouth with jaggy teeth in it. So yeah, and if I'm getting deep on this, I think there's something sort of patrician, paternalistic about it that makes me feel uneasy about that thing. So it's an interesting one because it sits on that little grey area in the middle of help versus is it help?
I think it's a really good one.
I don't think I've ever seen it as help.
Oh, no, I know people that have done it as help.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lady on Hampstead Heath that has rescued, using that word very, very carefully there, has taken in a fox, and now she just has it as a pet, and she walks it on lead around Hampstead Heath during the broad daylight where there's loads of dogs around, and everyone's like, oh, it's so sweet. And I'm like, this is disgusting. That animal is living in constant fear, and it cannot be healthy on any physical or mental level at all. So yeah, I've seen it in person.
God. I want to put both of these equally in room 101. This is probably the hardest.
Yeah, that's a good one. These are two good ones because I totally get where Isla's coming from here, where I think we've seen this throughout kind of history with even before social media was a thing. We've seen this from like natural history on TV, people getting close to wildlife, whether it was, even Sir David Attenborough back in the day, or whether we've seen Steve Irwin in like the kind of the noughties getting very close to wildlife. And now we're seeing it on social media become very regular and more people do it. And it is tricky because it pushes people towards wildlife where in a lot of areas we don't want the touching or picking up snakes or,
But also, like, there's a whole industry behind it, right? There's a whole industry behind animals which are permanently sedated so that people can have their pictures. Like, there is all these, like, auxiliary systems and that is abusing animals purely for this purpose. Like, the idea of tigers being permanently sedated just so you give them a cuddle is just outrageous.
I think I know which one I'm putting in.
Oh! Any last closing arguments, guys? Did you think you said it?
I think I just want to reiterate what I find quite dangerous about this one is not so much people learning to appreciate and getting close to wildlife. It's more encouraging bad practice and practices that you should be trained in before you go in and do it. And people are going to want, because of the how people sharing it on social media and doing it for the purpose of getting a viral video, means that other people want to replicate that. And so they're going to do it without having the training. Yeah. That's where I'm going with that.
Yeah. And also I think it perpetuates this cultural idea of having dominion over, and our relationship is always one of power over as opposed to being on an equal footing of respect.
Yeah.
And, oh God, Ryan, do we have to pick one?
It's the format of the show.
Yeah.
Sorry, does Rory get a closing argument? Because I did a closing argument now.
Oh yeah, Rory, do you want one more?
Well, he's spying at his window.
Do you know what?
He's trying to close his
I'm
blind.
currently trying to remove a fly. I'm worried about the background noise of a fly.
On the edge of that bit of rope is his pet.
Your pet fly.
Peregrine falcon.
No, on the edge of this rope is Barry Shark Toucher. I've made him captive.
Stop it, Barry.
And Nadia, I'm going to say which one I'm going to put in and see if you agree with my reasoning why.
Okay. I actually haven't made a decision.
I would put in Rory's because I think Rory's answer also can lead down the illegal pet trade, which is a massive issue in species decline. And it's a very unregulated, illegal kind of, it's screwing up a lot of species. So I think Rory's kind of like wildlife pets, whether it's either rehomed it or taken it in, or whether it's people actually getting large or exotic animals off the illegal pet trade, I think it could go into that. So that's my reason. But that was very difficult. I understand both of them very clearly. So I would go with Rory's for that.
I would also go with Rory's because I think that every time I've seen that on Instagram, it has made my blood boil. And all of the stuff that I mentioned around it. That doesn't mean to say I also wouldn't put sharp.
They kind of go hand in hand because Rory's answer kind of encourages people to want to get close and touch wildlife. They kind of go in. But okay, so are we putting in Rory's then?
Yeah, we're putting Rory's.
Okay, so online nature gripes is wild pets taken in or getting illegally. Yeah, it's going in there, Rory. It's in.
Just quickly on that, do you think the original people that really made that popular was those magicians in Las Vegas that had the white tigers? Do you remember them?
Siegfried and Roy.
No.
Weirdly, my next thing has a connection to Siegfried and Roy.
So let's shut up.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we've got our next category for you guys, and that is mundane mammal. So they're often the face of animal charities and described as majestic and cute, but which mammal are you just absolutely over? Which ones are just a bit rubbish? Everyone's just like, and then you're just a bit like, oh, I deal with way cooler things than that.
Exactly.
You are not allowed to include humans in this category.
Same.
I know you went first last time, so I'm going to go Rory first this time. What mammal is going to get stuck bearing in mind you're putting in the vault with a load of Instagram influencers who've got animals?
Yeah, dolphins, and they've got it coming.
Yeah.
Here's my bulleted list, okay?
Whoa!
Here's my bulleted list. Porpoised, rapists, popular, if you're a marine biologist, people think you swim with them. They can go without sleeping for days on end, like Margaret Thatcher. Dolphin safe tuna. Worst of all, smug.
There's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack.
Ready to unpack
Start in with, if we can, dolphin-friendly tuna.
So, I think dolphin-safe tuna is like one of the biggest ever bits of greenwash and perhaps the most effective global bit of greenwash there's ever been.
Absolutely.
And a prime example of speciesism. So, not necessarily dolphins' fault, but the aura around dolphins that created this idea.
Yeah.
So, it has kind of, not invented greenwash, because greenwash has been around since, I don't know, like the 1950s and possibly before then, but very much that idea of like species-based bias that's created problems. You know, meanwhile, tuna stocks absolutely going down the Swanee.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's why Dolphin Safe Tuna was on there. The link to Siegfried and Roy is my bullet called Rapists. I know a lot of animals do quite forceful sex. Dolphins also do this interspecies. So it's not just to other dolphins. And the most weird story I found online about this was that apparently Demi Moore once went
Where's this guy?
Demi Moore once went to a Siegfried and Roy had some sort of animalarium and that had, poor dolphins, captive dolphins, and one of the dolphins tried to get busy with Demi Moore. And
how far did it
I don't
get?
know. I don't know how far it went.
Have you seen her third child?
There was also the story of that lady with a dolphin in her basement, which goes back to wild animals as pets thing, that the dolphin tried to get busy with her too. So that is an aspect. And there you go, link to Siegfried and Roy. Popular goes without saying. It's like, the dolphins are the best. Dolphins are not the best because they do things like porpoiside, which is my first point. They kill porpoises just for the crack, not for food. So they harangue and bully porpoises for fun. And yeah, the marine biologists thing, this is why Isla and I had to speak before we did this podcast, because we're both marine biologists. And of course, Isla would also have chosen dolphins. So we had to have a discussion about that. Although I'd be interested to hear your bulleted list for dolphins, Isla, to see what the matchup is on that list.
Pretty similar, but just like dolphins are dick. Dolphins are dicks.
Yeah.
Just underlined.
The summary, the title
multiple
of the
times.
list.
Like they use other animals as I'm now backing up Rory's point. I'm like, just take it, take the win.
Just take it. Put it in.
They use other animals like for their own purposes. Like they have been found to suck the toxins out of pufferfish to get high. Has anyone ever asked the pufferfish whether they wanted that to happen? No. So they're arseholes. I concur.
I'm sorry, but I think that bitch just made me like dolphins a little bit.
Yeah, I think
I know
ruined
exactly
it.
what you're doing here, okay? Don't think I don't know
I
what
know.
you're doing.
I was into raw. Kind of like big grey pervert of the sea.
And I was like, they like to party.
They're just trying to have a good time.
Yeah, but my point being here, I'll try and bring it back, Rory. My point being here is that they're using another animal to do that. So
yeah,
it's like, I don't know. Like
I'm now just sat here thinking, I wonder what the high's like.
There's actually, I don't know if it's on Blue Planet, but there's an actual scene of them just like floating at the surface, just like in complete bliss. But then this poor little pufferfish that's had like all the toxins sucked out of it, just like floating sadly to the seafloor.
God.
Are they dead? Are they dead when they've had it sucked out? It's not like a gentle.
I might be wrong, but I don't think so. Are they, Rory?
I think this is part of Dolphin's campaign to make everyone hate fish, just like the dolphin safe tuna thing. Like, kill all the fish. Here's another fish we'll use and abuse. They're doing it on a structural level. They're doing it on an individual level to get high. Maybe if they get high and it chills them out and it stops them doing all the bad stuff on that list, but it still will not stop them doing my last bullet, which is being smug, because they are always smiling. They have a constant smile on their face.
They do constant smile.
Little
They do.
smug.
Also, sorry, are you talking all dolphins? All
I've assumed the common dolphin.
Well, actually, I'm thinking bottlenose as the biggest and worst
They're the smilers.
culprit.
Yeah.
So to be fair.
So it's a bottlenose. So bottlenose. So are we going to go with bottlenose dolphin?
Yeah, let's say bottlenose.
Okay.
Okay, just one more. Why was there such a strong dolphin aesthetic in the late 90s, early 2000s in every teenager's bedroom?
Flipper.
Oh, okay.
And Echo the Dolphin on the Sega Mega Drive, maybe?
Yeah.
Both those two things. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's strong.
It's strong. Bottlenose
but I
dolphin.
feel like I could be swayed by what mammal Isla's about to put in.
So, Isla, which mammal are you putting forward to go into the vault for good?
Well, this is hard because, like we just said, Rory and I had to have a quick meeting before this to make sure that we weren't on the same one. And I was on team bottlenose dolphin. But I would be very surprised if someone hasn't picked this already. It's a very obvious one, a very obvious mammal. But panda. I feel like panda's the obvious choice. Mainly because they're pretty much begging to go extinct.
They're gone anyway.
Let's face it. They're already on their way.
Yeah.
So they basically kind of won't breed. They're pretty rubbish at doing that. They also eat only bamboo, which is one of the least nutritious plants that you can get. I'm not hating on vegans, but, pick your...
Vegans are known for their bamboo eating.
But, pick your sustenance. They have to eat so much of it as well that they've developed a special finger specifically for bamboo eating.
Specifically for touching sharks.
They probably touch sharks as well with it. They're probably purbeats as well. Who knows? But the reason... I don't hate pandas specifically, but I hate the amount of attention and the amount of money and resources that have been put into an animal that's pretty much kind of on its way to being extinct anyway, and it's not helping itself. And so much so that I believe it was the WWF did a campaign where they literally superimposed other animals onto pandas' bodies to get other people to care about those animals. I don't know if you've seen this campaign. There's one where they've literally superimposed a panda onto a shark, and they're like, "Do you care about it now?"
No,
I don't know. It just really.
I see they've done. Yeah, okay. I see what they've done. I thought that when you described it the first time, I thought as a serious campaign, and then as you've said it, I'm like, no, they were taking the.
You mean like a banana sticker?
No. It's a serious campaign. It's a serious campaign.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And they did it in certain parts of the world as well. So they had a picture of a panda, but it was a rhino to try and get people to see rhinos.
When we say this was a serious campaign, WWF thought
I'm
this
Googling
might
it.
work.
I can't do this without visuals.
Yes, because they knew that people loved pandas so much in certain parts of the world that they hoped that would get people to care about other species.
If anyone's listening that works for WWF, can you just email your superior and say, what the fuck are you doing?
I've got it open on my second screen. I can send it to you if you would like to see it.
Oh my God, it's dreadful.
Do you know what? I'm not even going to look it up.
There's also one where they've put gorillas' heads onto a tuna. It's a bit weird, but yeah.
This sounds like the kind of experiment that a dolphin would be up for, Isla. That's what this sounds like.
Dolphins are working at WWF. That's what they're doing.
There's another one. There's a different campaign here with what looks like a grizzly bear in someone's living room. And it just says, if forests disappear, can he move in with you? Which I think's yeah.
I think you say yeah on here, but I don't think you would actually enjoy. You wouldn't
not
enjoy
in real
it.
life, no. Not if there was a.
But this is why, right? That the amount of attention and it's just because they've got the fluffy factor, and everyone's like, "Oh, look how cute they are, just sitting there chewing the bamboo." When you have other animals that are a million times more amazing, and are fighting to stay alive, and the panda's just kind of lying back and taking it. To be quite honest.
Do you know what? I'm actually going to find this one really difficult because I was so on board with whacking dolphins in until I found out they get high from blowfish. And blowfish sound like an animal you can get high from as well. And I feel like they just figured it all out. But also, pandas are so, they're just so laid back that I'm like, oh, they're not hurting anyone.
Oh, I don't know.
So now I'm torn.
Can I just intervene here, given that Isla also just tried to sabotage dolphins right at the end of the puff and fish fight? I'd just like to pick up on a narrative of that argument, which feels a bit Joe Rogan. That feels a bit like, oh, there's vegans and they're bad at sex and they're lazy. And also, the sort of dolphins are chill guys. They, they smoke a bit of weed now, man. Incidentally, that's a good cartoon question. Like, where would the dolphin smoke weed from its blowhole or from its mouth? We can pick that up later. Never mind the issue of smoking underwater. But yeah, I feel like this narrative, Isla, is slightly all right.
Hey, can I have a counter argument here? I specifically said I'm not hating on vegans. And also, I was trying to help you out with my pufferfish argument, and it's not my fault that Ryan just thinks that's cool.
Nadia thought it was cool as well.
I'm also going to argue something. Rory voice noted me earlier today and said, I don't think Isla and I are going to argue on this podcast. And look what's happening. I told you we'd get you to argue.
So I'm confused now because I don't know. I've now intertwined Rory and Isla as individual humans in the debate, and I'm trying to separate the two. And now you've said that Isla's a bit alt-right. I'm struggling a little bit.
I feel like if we pick Isla's answer now, it makes her alt-right.
Yeah.
I'm not happy with that kind of pressure.
I think the finger thing didn't get discussed enough. The special finger, because that's quite pervy. That's quite pervy. So I think, could you tell us more about the finger?
I don't know much about it, to be honest. I just know they have a special finger.
That sounds like something.
And it's making me, to be quite honest, I'm going to talk myself out of this as well. Like, it's making me feel bad for them because I love eyes so much, and I know eyes are hated on because of their special finger too. So
yeah.
I wanted to pick dolphin in the first place. So if you want to go with dolphin, go with dolphin.
Yeah. Do you know what? Purely because I feel like if we go with Isla, we turn into the Joe Rogan podcast. I feel he said it now.
But I actually. So yeah,
he's played a high card, Rory.
I would go with dolphin purely for the dolphin-friendly tuna. I think that's been a disaster for our.
I think there's a lot. There's a lot. I think dolphin.
But I also want to put in panda because WWF are complicit in genocide.
I don't think we can blame the panda.
Okay.
For that.
All right. Yeah.
But I know you've been wanting to say that on the show since we started.
And I always bring it down a peg or two with genocide. I'm sorry.
Okay, so are we going with bottlenose dolphin?
We've covered so many issues,
but not really dived into any.
With dolphin. Let's go with dolphin and move on to the next one.
There we go. Dolphin is going in as the mundane mammal into Nature and 101 Volt Forever. Goodbye.
And you can bet that within a week you're going to see content online with Instagrammers having a hug with that dolphin in the vault and touching it.
Or content that we're not going to see of cross-species population in this vault.
Oh, God.
Oh. I mean, how many special fingers are going to get deployed in that vault? That's what I'm worried about.
Okay.
Not vegan ones.
Let's move on to our final topic of the show, which is quite simply, we haven't done this category since our first episode of Nature Room 101 when we did it, which is worst weather. I thought I'd throw it out there because the weather's going all a bit mad at the moment. Must be an easy one. We're British. We love to hate on the weather. We love to complain about it. So,
just out of interest, Ryan, what was the weather like in Crete?
Oh.
Magical.
That's why I got the hat. I had to shield the old scalp, didn't I?
All right.
So, Isla, which weather would you happily do without?
I could live without, and I don't know if everybody else calls it this, but I call it muggy. You know, and it's kind of really, I think other people call it close. When it's hot, but it's not sunny, it's very cloudy and everything's really sticky and horrible.
Sticky weather.
Yeah, and the reason that I hate it is because it's when all the midges come out in Scotland, especially, which, especially on the West Coast, which is where I live. And I know, Nadia, I know that you're also a climber, and it's that specific time when you're trying to belay somebody and you're getting eaten alive by midges. You're hot, you're sticky, you're sweaty, the rope slipping through your hands. It's just...
you are suspended in hell.
Yeah, it's just not fun all round.
Muggy.
It's such a strong start.
It's a good one. It's a good one. No one likes muggy. Everyone does this for their shirts. Oh,
nobody likes it.
It's muggy. It's that sticky weather.
We've never had muggy before.
No.
Do you guys call it muggy? Or is that just a...
Muggy, yeah.
Muggy or close,
humid.
Yeah.
Close in Scotland, close is the one, like your old neighbour will come over and say, oh,
close is so
awfully
perfect.
close.
Close is like what a dolphin gets to.
It's awfully close. So close.
It's the air being pervy. It's the atmosphere being pervy on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's touching you with
Sticky.
its hands.
Horrible.
Yeah. Okay, good, strong start. Nice and simple. Muggy weather. Right. Rory, what you got for us? What weather are you putting forward?
I'm going to put forward what we call in Scotland smur. So smur is the really fine rain, like the super fine rain that when you go outside and it soaks you to the bone, like instantly. You stand outside, it's like instantly soaked, like great. Like no matter how powerful your waterproof is, because it's so fine, it's got like inside you, you've got like a sort of subcutaneous layer of rain. It's awful. It's not proper rain. It's not mist. It's on the fence, and like so many things that are like resolutely on the fence. It's awful.
That rain that kind of like, is it raining or am I just stood very close to a waterfall? That kind of where it's like just hitting you constantly.
Super fine. It might even be associated with a closeness on occasion.
Yeah.
In a warm enough climate.
Yeah.
I actually agree with you. It's that kind of rain that when you do this to your face is wet. Because when it's raining, your face isn't completely wet all the time. But when it's like that, you do that and you're wiping it off.
Oh, what did you say it was called? A smur?
Smur, we call it in Scotland. I think other people, I've heard it called mizzle, but I always think that sounds like a rhyme that Snoop Dogg dropped.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've heard it called mizzle.
Can I ask you a question? Do you get smur more in which season would you say smur occurred more?
I feel like I've experienced smur the most, maybe in autumn is when I've experienced the smur the most, but spring also will sometimes get you. But yeah, autumn, it's on the turn and it might just be getting on the edge of like too horrible. So you've maybe not cracked out your big coat yet, but you're on the cusp. Maybe that's another reason it's annoying, because it's bumping up against some clothing situation, which is creating further problems.
It is annoying. And I do know which one you mean. I don't think it's stronger than muggy.
I don't. Do you know what I'm thinking? Muggy can happen. And the muggy's so uncomfortable because you can't even get away from it in the house sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can be in the house going, I'm just so, ugh.
I would feel stupid from sheltering from muggy in the house. But if there was a heavy smur, I'd be like, oh, do you know what?
Exactly.
Let's just go
100%.
in. I feel okay about it.
I won't go for that long hike until the smur is done.
Until the smur's done. But if you're out for the day and you're doing a hike, it's just like, well, I'm not going to stop because it's muggy.
Yeah.
You just have to endure it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think we've got our answer then. I think muggy it is. Muggy's going in.
It's the midgie association really sorted it for me as well. Because
okay.
And I'm a sweater.
Yeah. Same.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Notorious sweater.
Yeah. In fact, I'm sweating now at the thought of it.
Yeah. I thought you suddenly seemed a bit more uncomfortable.
Actually, Isla painted such a picture there that, I mean, absolutely. I'm also on board with muggy.
I actually feel a bit warmer.
Yeah.
Do you think
just talking about it?
It's been muggy today, actually. Like when I was walking the dog, I was uncomfortable. Yeah, it's been close, hasn't it?
It's been close.
It's been very close.
Yeah. Ryan, I wonder if you just feel a bit hot because we had that quite sexy chat earlier about things dolphins did.
Yeah. I just mentally went back to Crete for a bit.
He's radiating the heat that he absorbed from Crete. You know, like when pavements are hot at night. He's still doing that.
Yeah.
Like a lizard that's been basking on a rock in the sun.
Yeah, just pumping out Crete at everyone.
I'd be well up. Be happy with that, just out there basking.
One thing I would say about muggy though, right, the release you get when muggy breaks, if there's a storm and then the mug goes, oh man. If you didn't have muggy, you would never get that release.
Yeah, we could counter-argue that with the sun coming out.
You would, I know, Ryan, but that is an argument people try on us quite a lot, which is like...
Because when the sun comes out after the smur, just at that breaking point where it stops and the sun comes out, you might get a little rainbow.
Yeah, you know what I mean. My sister lives in the Northern Territory in Australia, which is in the tropics, and they have the rainy season and the not rainy season. Both of them are stupidly hot. One of them's wet. But then they have like a 2-month build-up to the first break of rain. And my sister she works with students and kids or whatever, but she's just like, there's something that is called mango madness. And like those days when you're like, it's going to break today, it's got to break. People start losing their shit. Like across the Northern Territory. Like people are just angry. people are like, can't cope, they're doing weird things. And it's just this like day after day thinking, that cloud has got to just shit its pants right now. And it doesn't. And it's just like smug, smuggy, or muggy. I'm mixing both of those.
Smuggy.
Smuggy's
weather.
a great word.
Yeah.
Smuggy's a great
That's
word.
when
I'm going to claim
smur
that.
occurs during the summer months.
It's like weather edging for days.
Weather edging.
Oh,
God. Okay, well, Muggy's going into the vault.
That's what dolphins would be if dolphins were a weather.
What, Smuggy?
Smuggy. Yeah.
Smuggy. Right, so Muggy's going into the vault,
faces.
which is a good weather type. I think a lot of people would be uncomfortable during some muggy weather. So there we go. Okay, well, that's the end of Nature Room 101. Rory and Isla, thank you so much for putting forward your answers. It's been a pleasure to hear you guys have a little bit of a rant and get some stuff off your chest. Do you both feel a bit more relaxed after that now?
Yeah.
So hang on, who won?
Rory did 2-1. But I wasn't going to focus on that.
Okay, no, everybody took
But
part.
that's fine because, to be quite honest with you, I was struggling with the mammals question. And I would much rather that dolphins went into Room 101.
I think you both picked a mammal there that's very strong contenders. I think a lot of people would have picked either a dolphin.
I actually think Isla won because she was magnanimous and said, "I'll do something else. You do dolphin." So actually, I think Isla won because she was magnanimous.
We could say 1.5 points each. There we go.
We all won. There we go.
There's no winners.
Lovely.
And of course, if any of our listeners take offence or have got a problem with any of the facts that were shared today, Rory and Isla are both present on social media and you can contact.
Please don't think I'm actually right-wing. Please don't think I'm actually right-wing. I'm not.
Isla, I love you, but I would love that if that was the takeaway of the show. Have you heard about Isla Hodgson? She's a bit alt-right.
Just the Joe Rogan of sharks.
Sharks.
You wouldn't think a naturalist would be like that, would you? No, I don't expect it.
Well, nerds, thank you so much for tuning in to Into the Wild's Nature Room 101. A reminder that Nadia and I are going to be at Global Bird Fair on the 12th and 13th of July for Nature Room 101 live on the Osprey stage. If you're attending, please come and say hi and watch the show live. And as always, if you're not following us on social media, please do so. And if you have any spare pennies and want to shove them towards Into the Wild to help this show keep going, then you can do so at kofi.com/Into the Wild pod. But for now, until next month, I'm going to be like the two Roddies. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. I like that.
We've never done that before.
But it felt so natural.
Thanks for tuning into the show, nerds. If you don't already, make sure to follow us on social media at Into the Wild Pod on Twitter and at Into the Wild Podcast on Instagram.
And if you're able to and would like to, you can support the show by tipping us at ko-fi.com/Into the Wild Pod. That buys us the equivalent of a coffee, and we use it to fund more podcasts for your ears.
But until next time, keep well and live the good life.